2020. We got our guest, Dan Evans. We're talking about baseball for an hour. Couple ground rules before we get started. Go down below in that chat room. Put in where you're from, your day job, and get to know each other. Share your LinkedIn's. This is about you. It's about your questions and how do we help you adrenalize today and monetize tomorrow. The topic is around baseball. I'll have a few questions, and then all you need to do is raise your hand with that blue hand, and Ike will take your question, and we'll give Dan an hour. After the hour, our staff and Dan will stay in for specific questions. What can we do to help you get paid for your passion? Dan, I can't wait to talk to you, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. Where are you today, Dan?
I'm in my home in Boulder, Colorado.
I love it.
Mid-70s, a gorgeous day today.
I got a little warmer weather in Palm Desert. But Dan, we're going to go ahead and get started. I have you do this every time we do a conference. Normally, we're right at the winter baseball meetings, and Doc Talks are part of making up for the COVID. We're not going to let COVID win. Dan, spend a few minutes, 5 minutes, assuming you went to high school. Tell your story, your path. I think it's important. It's an inspiration to everybody. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I got older in Chicago, Illinois, my birthplace. Went to DePaul University, never quite grew up, to be honest with all of you. And I'm very thankful all of you took a little time today to attend this session. We're truly here for you. I went to DePaul University, and luckily as a junior, mid-quarter junior, got a call for an interview with the Chicago White Sox. Never ended up leaving for 19 years. Ended up being the assistant GM, did every single thing you could possibly do in the organization, from intern to director of baseball operations and assistant general manager. Loved it, moved on to the Cubs for about 5-6 months. Then I went to become the Dodgers general manager for about 4 years. Then I went to the Seattle Mariners, had a lot of fun there. Then I became an agent. I was an agent for about 4.5 years, a writer, a columnist, a broadcaster. And then I joined the Toronto Blue Jays as a special assistant to the general manager. Actually, Perry Manassian, who was just hired in the last week, was somebody I worked with. And in the last 1.5 years, I've been doing consulting for my own company. And one of the companies I work with is the Field of Dreams movie site in Dyersville, Iowa. I've had an absolutely great week. 2 of my proteges become general managers. First, Perry Manassian with the Angels, and then Kim Ng, who I hired twice, once with the White Sox and once with the Dodgers. And she is the first female general manager in Major League history. And I'm very proud to be a piece of her career. I thank all of you for joining today. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the course that I teach, and I've been teaching for almost 8 years now, baseball GM and scouting course. It's a blast. We have over 200 alums throughout the sport, and this is a great group at Sports Management Worldwide. So thanks again for participating.
And Dan, I'm most proud of your colleague, Hank Jones, of having a scout with a GM and all your world of experiences. And as we go around the room and take questions, I see Mike McDonald has a question. Man, I've got a couple more questions, and I know I was going to ask you about Kim Ng, and I think it's a historic time. And I see today Theo Epstein has resigned, and not necessarily retired or out of it forever. But let's talk about COVID and baseball. We got through the season. I was excited about it. I know it had some humps, and we're doing the same thing with football to an extent. Dan, minor league baseball, before we take questions, what's going on in that world, and what do you think we'll see next year in the crystal ball that we have?
Well, it's being reduced to 120 teams in all from 162. So there's some distinct changes. The biggest thing we'll see is it'll be reduced to 4 teams domestically for each club, 4 minor league affiliates. So a lot of the short season leagues are being reduced to summer wood bat leagues or independent leagues. Right. And there are some franchises in minor league baseball. They're going to have a tough time in 2021 because they may have no one to play. And that's that's a difficult thing, but that's the direction Major League Baseball has taken, Lynn.
Dan, my last question before we field questions, any of you can raise your hand. Dan, the winter baseball meetings, what's been going on for, it seems, 100 years, and we're there every year. They've been canceled. What goes on to replace that, if I may? I know winter baseball meetings were a lot of activity. I assume everything is Zoom and deals are made, and it's just a different world that we're in. Your comment about replacing or winter baseball, what's going to happen instead?
Well, first, I think they made a great move because the pandemic is compromised all of us and could put 20,000 people at risk that are attending the meeting. So I thought that was a brilliant move by Major League Baseball. Ordinarily, the winter meetings are a real great media platform for baseball. People have trade announcements, free agent signings, and what they're really doing is in the middle of the off season, they're stealing away the attention in the media area. But in reality, the teams operate the same. The teams operate before, during, and after the meetings. And now, because of COVID, it just didn't make any sense. But from a job perspective, it's a terrific place to do job discussions, the Baseball Career Conference that we've always hosted. And I'll break a little news here, if you don't mind, Lynn. We're going to have a virtual session. I've hinted it in my class. We're just not ready to quite announce it, but we will do something during December for all of you to continue what we've been doing on an annual basis. In fact, that's how I got started with sports management worldwide. But I think more than anything, there is no replacement in 2021 for the winter baseball meetings. The people who communicate well will communicate well internally. But if you're a job seeker, if you're looking to start a career in baseball, the lack of a winter meetings should not eliminate you from pursuing that job.
Dan, my last point here before we go to Mike. Mike, be patient. Others, you raise your hand so we know who's in there. This is about you. I got 100 questions, but we'd love to share them with our class. Dan, my point about globalization and watching the game of baseball and the roster of baseball. And you spent many years in Japan, and we have over 20,000 alums from 163 different countries. I think the biggest explosion I see, whether it's esports or sports betting, the biggest explosion is talent discovery on a global basis. And I just know the students that we're getting in many parts of the world. Your comments about the globalization of baseball, I think it's very exciting.
38% of the game's players are not from the United States, Lynn, and that's a dramatic change in the last 20 years. I've been all over the world trying to find players. I mean, literally all over the world. And it's astounding the growth of the game. I think a lot of it is just because teams are trying to find the next star player and trying to create pathways and portals for those players to get into the game.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, we got a lot of questions. A great turnout. We appreciate everybody coming in. Enjoy it. Comment on the comments as you can talk in our class. I was kicked out of every class, Dan, except the remote ones, which we didn't have. And we let people have a little fun in here and talk and respond to everybody's question. Let's go to Mac McDonald with your introduction and question or comment for Dan. Mike, welcome in. Unmute your mic. Okay. Mike, you got to unmute. There you go, buddy.
There we go. Mike McDonald, Concord, North Carolina. I have taken the baseball GM and scouting course. I've taken the player development baseball course, Dan Duquette. And either last night or the night before, I signed up for the analytics course that starts in mid-December. My question is, I guess the specific question is, who in the organization is the guy that, or the person that recognizes a player's ability to improve on an analytic statistic? The analytic job posting seems to be stat geek oriented. You know, they want quantitative degrees and all that other stuff, but somebody needs to recognize that a catcher has the ability to improve his pitch framing, other than somebody saying, well, this is the baseline, this is the median pitch framing number, and he's below it. Somebody in the organization, or multiple somebodies, has to have the ability to go both ways with the recognizing the low number and if that player can improve. So how does the organization go from the quantitative guys that get the data analyst job and turn that into signing a free agent and improving a player's statistic, whether it's launch angle or pitch framing?
Gotcha. Mike, good question. Dan, go ahead and answer.
Mike, I think the biggest thing is information has to be disseminated correctly. It has to be disseminated to the decision makers. And in most cases, that analytics person is there to do their job. They're not there to communicate with the player. That job is an on-field person or one of the decision makers in the organization. And it's one of the most difficult roles in the game because scouting data, analytic data is worthless unless it's communicated correctly and accurately. And I think, Mike, that's the biggest challenge that organizations have always had. Now it's just compounded with more data research.
Good answer. Let's go to Ankar. Ankar, with your introduction and question for Dan. Ankar, welcome in. Unmute your mic. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to tell you where I'm from New Jersey, and I'm actually a mid-career person myself. I met you last year in San Diego. I'm a psychiatrist, a sports psychiatrist. And, so I'm trying to work hard to establish, relationships, if possible, with someone in the front office of some of these organizations to see if there was an opportunity to consult and do some consulting for their medical team or the, kind of the medical staff that works with the clubs. So I was just wondering, what would you recommend? I mean, now that with COVID, everything is kind of canceled in person, is there any venue to kind of interface with front office staff, or what's the best way to approach this to kind of explore, or who would be the right people to talk to or reach out to?
And Dan, I want to remind everybody on, informational interviews are an opportunity, number one, and number two, don't forget the agent side, dealing with clients and doing your unique tasks that you have or skills that you have. But Dan, go ahead with the question.
Ankur, I remember you from last year. It was really enjoyable talking to you in the lobby in San Diego. I think there's two immediate avenues, and I think they're frequently overlooked. As anyone who took my class knows, I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn. It might not be the sexiest, coolest platform, but it's certainly the platform that Major League Baseball utilizes. So that's number one. Clean up your profile, make it look the way you want it to be to attract people, and then try to connect with people. Number two, and I think it's imperative, is to be relentless in your pursuit. Things like the HR contact at the club. I think it's people reaching out, looking at a directory of an organization and trying to find people, Ankur, that can be that conduit of flow. A lot of people overlook the HR person from an organization. The other thing I would say is don't go after the general manager or assistant general manager, because usually they're not involved in personnel hiring at the entry level position. And what you're doing is just frustrating yourself trying to talk to them.
Good stuff. Thanks for taking the question. Let's go to Jeffrey Light with your introduction and question for Dan. Jeffrey, thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot. My name is Jeffrey Lightfoot. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. And I used to be an intern for the Baltimore Orioles back in 1987, a time where racism was really high, but was changed when Al Campanis made that racial comment saying blacks couldn't manage.
Right. Yep.
And the Baltimore Orioles at the time is a very racist organization. And I'm 58 now. I just want to know, can you maybe give me a couple of ideas of where else to go to besides the Baltimore Orioles, and being also a handicap? What else could I do to try to get?
And Dan, I want to add to this. I'm so proud of the diversity in our company, Dan, all our courses and access to opportunity democratizes diversity. And I agree, and I understand. I think there's a new world out there. I call it a 2-point reset. I think everybody should reapply, if I may. Dan, I think there's a new world out there from what we've gone through the last 6 months. Your comments on a very good question.
Well, first of all, Jeffrey, I'm very proud of what baseball has done in the last 10 to 15 years, because I've been a part of the game for 40, and it was solely lacking in that area. Tyrone Brooks is a dear friend of mine. I've known him seemingly forever. He was a great hire by Major League Baseball. They have a diversity program now in baseball that I'm really proud to have supported, to have been a part of. I think Tyrone does an exceptional job cultivating people who can make an immediate contribution and a long-term contribution to the game. The game's no good and society's no good if there's any issues in gender, race. For me, sexism, it's just appalling to me. And that's probably one of the big reasons why I was a big supporter of Kim. I just think it's repulsive. So I would encourage you, Jeffrey, to look into the Major League Baseball diversity program. It's extraordinary. And in my opinion, it's going to be game changing.
Thank you, Dan. Jeffrey, any of our courses, you get up as many informational interviews. Most people will do an interview, an informational one. I know we can help you gain your confidence in navigation. We have resume service and everything. Let's go to Daniel with your introduction and question for Dan. Daniel, thanks for coming in.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
My name is Daniel Francis, and I'm currently a student at the University of Alabama right now. But I'm from Houston, Texas, and right now I'm studying marketing. And my question for you, Dan, is what is the most fulfilling part of your job, and what do you think is the hardest part of your job?
Great question.
Great question. Roll Tide. Daniel, I think the best part of the job, without question, are the people who comprise the sport. I have so many long-standing relationships that mean the world to me that come from places all over the world. I mean, 10 minutes before I got on this, I was texting with a friend of mine in Korea because his team's in the finals of the KBO. So it's the people. It's not the game for me. It's the people that make it a great thing. The hardest part of my job is the accountability, simply because everybody knows if you had a good or a bad day. Everybody knows if you didn't get a job. The reason everyone's talking about Kim Eng not getting those 4 or 5 jobs she interviewed for is because it's public knowledge. In most jobs in the world, no one has an idea if you had a good or a bad day. But heck, I used to be able to go to a gas station near my house in Los Angeles, and the gas station attendant would give me a good or a bad, a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on the game. And that's the part, Daniel, you just get used to. The accountability is suffocating for some. I thrived on it. I loved it.
And Daniel, I hope that you think about SMWW, working in that baseball office at college. The worst thing you can do is just get a degree, get involved in one way or another. You've got a bright future just coming into our chat. Let's go to Jared with your introduction. Welcome in, Jared.
So I'm Jared Chapey. I'm originally from New Braunfels, Texas, but currently living in Trophy Club, Texas. I'm a first semester graduate student at Texas A&M for their sport management program. And my question is, how'd you get your foot in the door to be a general manager for those of us that want to get into that position?
Jared, it was never a goal of mine until about the last 5 years. I just wanted to do my job really well. I got a great internship opportunity with the White Sox. And the reason I took it was because I was trying to graduate early so I could go to law school. I wanted to be a criminal prosecutor. That had been my lifelong dream. And once I drank the baseball Kool-Aid with Roland Heeman, Dave Dombrowski, Tony La Russa, I was done. And I wanted nothing else but to kind of see where my career would go and do my job. I was so lucky, Jared. I just worked my way up. I did everything and ultimately got the opportunity to be a general manager. And the best part of the journey was I wasn't obsessed by wanting that job. It was only the last few years that it really kind of was a career goal. Until that point, I just wanted the people around me to realize I was doing everything I could from my end to do my job well.
Great answer, Dan. Let's go to Chana with your introduction, and thanks for coming in today. Chana?
Sure. Hi. Thank you so much, Dan, and everyone for arranging this. This is my first one of these events, so I'm really excited to be here. My question is kind of two
Where are you
parts.
from?
Oh, sorry. I'm from New York. I recently graduated Yeshiva University, and I'm kind of trying to feel my way through opportunities. My question for Dan is like for both the agent and the general manager of in his mind there with the draft being reduced. I was just wondering about. I'm worried, not worried, but I'm thinking about how down the line players who were able to thrive after being selected in the 6th through 20th round, like they just aren't going to necessarily exist anymore, especially even with the constricted minor leagues. I was wondering kind of how that talent you think would be found, like how general managers will figure that out.
Dan, that's a great question.
And then from the agent perspective, especially with like, with young stars being so cheap, how would an agent like use data analytics and different pieces, or how, if they do or not, to kind of promote the players who are maybe established and older, who will still have a lot to give, but there's not necessarily a place for them.
It's a great
A couple of
question.
great questions, Chana. And, I know Chana is a good example. Chana saw the information on a LinkedIn post and joined us. So, it's really great. 2 answers. Number one, not a big fan of the reduction of the draft, but now that there's only going to be 4 full season teams, it makes more sense. They have to have somebody to play catch with and somewhere to play. And if we only have 4 teams, that's about 100 plus players, plus the Latin American teams in Venezuela and the Dominican. So they had to reduce it. I think it will cause some players to fall through the cracks. Some players will probably be better suited going to college instead of signing out of high school, have themselves a little better platform to come in. It'll give them more leverage, more dollars. But I think, Chana, from either the agent perspective or the club perspective, and I've been in both, your goal is to know the players as best as you possibly can. Whether you're scouting, whether you're doing character research, whether you're doing just research on the makeup of the player, analytics are another component of that R&D, of that research. So from an agent or a club perspective, your goal is to know the player as well as you can, so you know what the player's upside and value is.
And Dan Oscar teaches our agent course, baseball agent. It's growing tremendously. I always tell a student, one player that you have, and you have your own business. And I think that every agent has to know analytics. Every agent has to know scouting to an extent. But I think that's one of the biggest opportunities out there, particularly with colleges now allowing players in a year from now to get paid or get shoe deals. It's a new world out there, Dan. We're getting a lot of students that come over to the agent side to break into the business. Let's go to Josh Black with your introduction for Dan. Welcome in, Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Dan, nice to meet you. Lynn, thanks for having me again. I hadn't been on here in like 4 years, so it's good to be back.
And remind everybody where you're from.
From Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Also, my question kind of piggybacks off the agent conversation you were just discussing. From an agent or an aspiring agent, one who maybe falls under someone, how do you handle your direct contact with the agent of any player you're vetting or have researched or whatnot and going after? And is there ever a time where you ever, I hate to say the word bypass, it maybe bypass the agent? How vetted in that process is the communication between the GM and the agent themselves?
Dan, you go with that, Dan.
Josh, good question. Josh, I look at it this way. Club, player, agent. The player works for the team. The agent works for the player. If I feel that the conversation merits a direct conversation with the player, I've done it my entire career. To me, there is no barrier. He's your staff member. He's your employee. He's your player. But I always followed it up with the agent out of respect to the agent, but more importantly, because then that's double-barreled. It's just not coming from me. The agent reinforces the conversation, whether it's a lack of maturity, rule following, effort, attitude, whatever it is. It's always good to have a reinforcement. The other part of it, Josh, is anyone who hides behind a desk and doesn't interact with the assets, with the players, you know what? You're just not doing your job very well. You've got to have communication with every one of the players in your organization. But in turn, Josh, they also have to see you as somebody they can directly communicate with. For me, the most important thing you bring to the table as a staff member, as a contributor, regardless what part of the game you're in, are your communication skills. If they're lacking, you will be the one who pays the price.
Good to have you in, Josh. Thank you, Dan. Let's go to Henry Score with your introduction and your question for Dan. Henry, welcome in.
Thank you, Dr. Lashbrook. How you doing? Good to see you again. My name is Henry Score, currently a junior at UMass Boston studying sport leadership and administration, originally from New York. Dan, I know my dad is on this call and he took your course and he loved it. And my question is, when you were working with Kim and when you hired her, what did you see in her and what really made her stand out as someone who's trying to become a young professional in the sports industry?
Henry, great question. I interviewed her and hired her twice. The first time I interviewed her, she made it very clear that she wanted to be a contributor from day one. Very positive, very energetic, absolutely great interpersonal skills. She was a 21-year-old recent graduate, University of Chicago, and we had over 100 applicants. She was incredible, absolutely incredible. It was one of the easiest decisions I found for my career. 10 years later, I was looking for experience. I was looking for a winner. I was looking for someone to be my assistant general manager, vice president of baseball operations, oversee player development and scouting. And the Kim Eng I turned to that was 10 years removed for an internship was now a 3-time world champion and now a very seasoned executive with a lot of decision-making experience, having worked with the New York Yankees and the league office. So her skill sets matured, changed, and each time that skill set was the reason I hired her. She's a dear friend. She has great taste in music. I love she and her husband a ton. But what she really brought, Henry, was a stick-to-itiveness, a perseverance, a professional respect for everybody she worked with. She's a great collaborator. I said this I was overwhelmed with media the last 4 days. And what I told every single person was she is the best listener I have ever worked with. And as a result, she is a really exceptionally talented person because a lot of people in this world, I'd say the overwhelming majority, hear and probably hear fairly well, but they don't listen.
Good point.
And what she does and what she has always done, Henry, is listen well. Tell your dad that I love the new Springsteen album.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Paula with your introduction. Welcome in, Paula.
Oops.
Go ahead. We got
Thank you, Dr. Lashbrook. Fellow alum from the school. I took the athlete management course for NFL, potentially looking into managing baseball as well. But my question to you is, after Kim has now been announced in the baseball league, when do you foresee the first female baseball player?
I think it's good. You know, Paul, it's fun because when I hired Kim as an intern, I did get some flack from some people who had a stigma. I have always thought for the last 30, 35 years that it's going to happen. The Baseball for All program is extraordinary. I'm a huge supporter of it. I think they do a great job. I think it's inevitable that we're going to have a female baseball player. You know, what position? Hey, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, when I watched the Little League World Series a few years ago and I watched Monet play, I just thought to myself, you know what? We're not that far away. It's going to happen. What we need to do, quite honestly, Paula, we need to keep girls and young women playing baseball after Little League is over. When they're 13 to 18 years old, we need to keep them playing the Baseball for All program has done a fabulous job doing that. And as a result, I think we're closer than ever.
Great question, great answer. Let's go to Pavitt
Thank
with
you.
your introduction. Thank you so much. Pavitt, welcome in.
What's going on?
Go ahead, the
Hey,
introduction.
I have one thing to say. David Kim wanted to say hi to you. First thing I thought I'd.
What a good guy.
Yeah, he's like, tell Danny I say hi because we connected on the weekend.
For everybody who knows, David is one of the greatest scouts in Korea and an even better person.
Yeah,
Good. Pavitt, where you live? Where you
I'm
from?
from Canada.
Okay, go ahead, my friend.
And I'll be talking to you
Do
Thursday.
you have a question, or is that
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I do.
You guys just want to take 5 minutes and we'll all go somewhere else, or do you want to ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
My question is for the Kim Ing hiring. When you hired her, did you see something special in her? Like, did you see did you notice a knack that she had, where like it just caught your eye that like she's gonna be this good as where she is now? So that was my question.
Yes, Pavitt. And first of all, Pavitt, thank you for what you do. Pavitt's a healthcare provider in Ontario during COVID. What a challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, I did, Pavitt. I've had 5 proteges become general managers and a number become assistant general managers and directors. But in Kim's case, literally from the first 5 minutes, I could tell she was going to be extraordinary. It's a fun story. My then 3-month-old oldest daughter was in a crib in my office in Chicago when she came for her interview, sound asleep, taking a nap. So I had the lights dimmed, the shades pulled. She knocked on the door to come in to start the interview, saw my daughter, couldn't have prepared for that, and went, whoa, gosh, I'm sorry. And I just said, no, that's okay. So we stepped out and we took a walk because we couldn't go back in my office at the old Comiskey Park. And that ability showed me a lot. She was able to react quickly to a really funky situation. And I think it was great. But yes, I had no doubt. And I told a lot of people in that first month or so that she was going to be great. Anyone who knows her, anyone who's worked with her, who has interacted with her, knows how special she is. By the way, Tyrone Brooks, who I mentioned earlier from Major League Baseball, just posted something in the chat. You should take a look at it. He's one of the best guys I've ever interacted with. I love the man, and he's extremely talented. But Pavitt, sometimes you got to go with your gut. And my gut told me she was going to be great. So I gave her every opportunity I possibly could, and it paid off. She made my world better. And now she's ascended to a job she's really ready for.
Thank you, Dan. And Tyrone, good to have you in. We always appreciate Tyrone stopping by our conferences every year. And I bet, Dan, we'll get Tyrone in our winter baseball meeting conference. We've got him already. He just doesn't know it. Let's go to Brendan with your introduction. Brendan, welcome in. Let's keep the ball rolling there.
Hi, so I'm Brendan Fuerta. I'm currently a sophomore at Xavier University, and I work with the baseball team studying economics, but I'm from Chicago. And Mr. Evans, like to say my dad would like to say hi before I ask my question. And I also like to extend my congratulations with the hiring of Kim Ing, and also Mark Burley, one of the players you scouted there, Brad, with his now to the battle in the Hall of Fame. So congratulations on that. But I have 2 questions. So one of them also goes with what Pavitt asked, like what separates a candidate and looking to get their foot in the door for baseball, like even before the interview process, like when looking through resumes. And my second question is, with the CBA expiring in 2021, like what can we expect the negotiations to be like between the MLOPA and MLB, and like what the language is like in that sense?
And Dan, let me put a quick plug in. I just being in higher ed for 50 years, I love when students are working in their athletic department. Dan, so many people got starts in their college athletic program. It's not in the classroom, it's outside. So I admire you very much. Dan, back to you with the questions on the CBA and resume.
Well, Brendan comes from a great family. I'm not surprised. Please say hello to your dad, Brendan. Number one, what stands out in a candidate? Somebody who's not staged, somebody who doesn't hide behind their resume, has strong interpersonal skills, and is ready to make an immediate contribution in some area. They know they can do something a little better than most, and there's a quiet confidence about them. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, Brendan, I think it's really important to come being able to sell yourself. And, that comes in a variety of ways. I think you just can't come off as staged, as overly prepared. I think that's really dangerous. Number two, regarding the CBA, you know, we're in a very difficult period right now. We've never been challenged in our lifetimes like we are right now with COVID. And I think subsequently, it's really made the 2021 negotiations even that more difficult. So Brendan, I don't know what that landscape looks like. I negotiated, or I was part of the negotiating team for 3 labor agreements. This is the most unique one I could ever imagine. And I think it's going to take a really solid preparation from both sides, recognizing that we are in very uncertain times and the game is thriving. So we need to make sure we're cognizant of what's going on around us while the negotiated agreement is coming to a close.
You know, Dan, Mike Matheny, who took our analytics course, the manager of the Royals, one time when we were trying to decide to get the CBA and get back on the field, it's part of giving back to your country. It's no different than the war, the depression, baseball attendance went up. I admire all the sport, hockey and the double bubble, basketball, but the courage to make it work, make the CBA work. And I'm actually confident, Dan, it's going to be hard, but we're going to navigate through this together. I think most people understand how important the game of the business of sports is so important to our society. Dan, let's go to Christopher with his introduction.
Hello, I'm Chris from Denver, Colorado, and I'm in my final weeks right now as a sports management student, undergraduate at Lynn University. And I was wondering what advice you wish you had when you were getting ready to enter the job market, and what interview question you used most often that you found had the most correlation to someone being successful in the job interview.
Dan, besides having SMWW when you were in college.
I love it. I love it. Dueling baseballism shirts, Chris. Nice going. You know what? I think there's a couple things, Chris. I think just to go back to the question I always ask, what's your weakest point? What's your weakest characteristic? And what are you going to do to make that better while you're working for me? It's pointed, but I like asking a pointed question because I find out how the person handles an unexpected, challenging question. Another question I frequently ask is, what brings you joy in the world? And the reason I ask that is I want to see if it's a pleasant person, if it's somebody who fits in to the team environment. Because Chris, one of the things, when you're joining an organization, everybody else is already there. You have to fit in with them. They don't have to fit with you. So if you're a collaborative person, a positive, fun person, I learn a lot. If I had anything that I wish I would have come in with starting at age 20, I wish my Spanish had been better. I wish I had a second language that I was proficient in. I later got better, but I also learned Japanese when I started traveling to Asia over the last 20 years. I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't master Korean, but I have 2 little dictionaries that I carry around and a Google Translate whenever I go there. But Chris, the more well-rounded you are, the better candidate you are. And I appreciate it. Chris, by the way, is in a group called Sabre, of which I'm a board of director. And that's yet another thing that I would recommend. Sabre is a great group for networking and for learning the game.
And Chris has been part of our several courses of our good friends at Lynn University, Ted Curtis, a former student of mine. It's exciting to see so many more college kids taking courses from us, not being afraid to, just sit back, and a degree alone will not deliver. Let's go to Jose with your introduction for Dan and your question. Jose, welcome in.
Hi, how are you, Dan? How are you, Dr. Lashbrook?
Good.
Jose, I'm doing well. Great to see you.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm from Venezuela, but I live here in Brazil. I took the course with you guys in November, October 2019. Yeah. And then I got a part-time job with OL Baseball Group. I with them, with Felix Olivo. I met him in the informational interviews,
Yes.
A really nice practice, and happy to see you again. I just wanted to ask you then, how do you foresee this off-season, taking into account these losses in revenues, and how do you see that non-tender deadline? How do you see that? Is going to be a tough one for the players, or how do you foresee that?
It's a good question, Dan. Go ahead.
Jose, great to see you again. I just talked to Felix the other day. Felix runs one of the best agencies in baseball, and Felix said great things about you, Jose. So I'm really happy for you. You've made a real positive impression. Regarding the tenders, I think it's going to be the most difficult year for clubs and players on the December 2nd tender deadline, merely because of the finances, because of the threat of arbitration, because of the abbreviated season, giving them a lack of information on some guys. I think, Jose, it's really hard to non-tender a player, Jose, because when you do that, non-tendering that player's a free agent. So you lose the control of a player that you had acquired in some way, and at some point thought he was the guy for you. So I think we're going to have as many as 75 to 100 non-tenders. And I think it's going to be a very difficult market for a lot of those players as of December 3rd.
It's going to be a wild, wild west. It's going to be exciting, though, Dan. Let's go to Sean with your introduction. We can get everybody in. Sean, go ahead. Go ahead, Sean. Unmute your mic.
How are you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay. My name is Sean. I'm from Pennsylvania. I go to Kutztown University studying sport management. For the summer, I recently worked for Perfect Game, and my career path is into Major League Baseball scouting, as well as interest in player development. So, what piece of advice would you give to somebody like me as far as wanting to get into that career path? And, obviously there's a lot of ups and downs to having a job like that in baseball, traveling and all that. So what would you say is probably the best thing that I could do to get to where I want to be later in life? Thank you.
Dan, elaborate. We have the agent course, the baseball development course, Dan Duquette, Ari Kaplan in analytics. We have marketing. Talk about, we have so many students that call every day, asking entry point, which course should they take? Some don't want to be an agent. Some want to do, but answer the question kind of with an SMWW theme of opportunities, because I think it's a great question.
Well, and Sean, I think you're either on the 176 or the 422 if you're Kutztown. You worked with great people at Perfect Game. They are fabulous people. Number one, I'd start with them. They have great networking skills. They're well respected. Ask them for advice. That is a fabulous group. I know all the major decision makers there. You couldn't be with a better group. What I like about sports management worldwide is we have kind of a buffet. And I know buffets in COVID aren't real good, but buffets for an aspiring baseball professional is really good. The baseball GM and scouting course that Hank Jones and I do, I think is terrific. We give you a really good foundation. The analytics course with Ari is sensational. Ari's one of the best people I've ever met. I love him. He is so good, and he's so well connected. The player development course with Dan Duquette is really wonderful from a foundational standpoint. Hearing from a former general manager is always a good thing, not to pat myself on the shoulder, but I think it's real good. The agent course is terrific with Oscar Suarez. I think the world of Oscar. Between all of those classes, you might find one that stimulates you more than another. And the great thing that Dr. Lashbrook and his staff do is alumni get $300 off subsequent courses. So the initial hit, you never feel that again. And if you're not an alumni, there's a discount prompt, a hashtag in the chat room that if you go to it, you'll get some dollars off. And listen, everybody likes something a little cheaper. So pursue it. I think, Sean, you've got a good start. You're with good people. Just keep going down that path.
Dan, I'll never forget some of our students doing 20 informational interviews. And one of our students, 70 years old, took our course, Clovis, New Mexico, became associate scout, for the California Angels. And unfortunately, he passed away, but that was his whole eulogy, his dream. And I really believe that scouting is going to be so important because we're not flying like we used to. And there's going to be a lot more eyeballs and analytics and digital video editing. It's just an exciting time to be in the game. Let's go to Zach. Go ahead, Dan.
Lynn, I think teams are going to turn. There you see the discount code, Doc Talk with Dan, and you don't even have to use uppercase. $50 off. But I think we're going to see something change, Lynn, and I think we're going to see more regional scouting, geographically based scouting, which will curtail travel and probably streamline and make for a more efficient reporting structure.
I think it's a 2.0 revolution of opportunity. I stand by that, Dan. Let's go to Zach with your introduction. Let's keep going. We're going to move quickly here to stay in the hour, and then we stay on. Adam and Dan will stay on for specific questions, but I like to keep Doc Talks to an hour. It's our brand, if I may. So go ahead, Zach.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll speed this up. My name is Zach Rabb, originally and currently in South Florida, but I lived in Israel for the past 10 years. Got really involved in the fledgling baseball scene over there based on the World Baseball Classic success that they had, and now Olympic qualifier. And due to that Olympic qualifier where I met Carolina from Italy, who's here, she invited me to this course, or she invited me to this chat. So small world. I have a question for you, not about me, but for a young baseball player that I coached in Israel for the past few years. Graduated high school. He's obviously doing his mandatory Army service right now, but has hopes to go to Division I college and has higher hopes from there, but keeping it small for now, one step at a time. What would be your recommendation, I guess, to me to tell him, or that you would just tell him to break in? Because I don't know if you've ever.
Dan, I just want to comment on the college athletics. There's a revolution going on with the college, and as I said, the NCAA rules are changing, but there's so many colleges out there that want a kid to play.
Not many scouts go to Israel.
Yeah, thank you very much. But go ahead, Dan. He's from Israel, beautiful country I've been to. But his question is, and I just know from college, they love athletes from all over, and there's opportunities there to get to the majors. Go ahead, Dan.
Zach, big advantage 3 years ago, World Baseball Classic. I saw every game they played. They were not on the map, on the baseball map 3 years ago. After getting all the way to Tokyo, losing to the Cuban team, and narrowly losing to the Japanese, I think now people have a respect level for Israeli baseball that never occurred before. Jerry Weinstein did a great job coaching that team, and a lot of really great guys are alums. So just tell him to continue his pursuit, because now people have baseball in Israel on the radar. And if you're a friend of Carolina, you're a good person, Zach.
Thank you. Let's go to Phil Buck, one of our students. Phil, make it quick as we can get everybody in. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey, everybody. Hey, this is Phil from Milwaukee. The last 3 years I worked for the Brewers. I got my start with them by actually working for Delaware North. That was the way I broke in, and I started interacting with the front office every day.
And your question?
So I just wanted to say really quickly about the minor league situation that MLB has become partners with the Frontier and Can-Am League, who joined together, and they have so many openings. They, in fact, the Astros invested in Sugarland Skeeters, and that's their workaround so that the independent teams don't have to put a big sign-on fee. But there are so many jobs open right now. You just have to look in the independent leagues.
Okay, thank you, Phil, very much. Dan, your comment on that.
Well, I think Phil brings up a great point. The independent leagues are stronger than ever, and the independent leagues now will be a bit of a funnel into Major League Baseball. And the great thing about independent baseball is there's a bottom line involved. They have to operate in the black. It's a private business. So as a result, you also learn sales and marketing skills. So I think Phil just brought up a great point.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Shiv with your introduction and question for Dan. Shiv, go in.
Hi there, I'm Shiv. I'm a university student in the UK at the University of Warwick. I do politics, philosophy and law. I'm currently writing a dissertation on financial regulation in European football, and was wondering about a career in sports agency or sports law. Obviously, this is more football related as opposed to baseball. What would you recommend in terms of on top of the sports agent course that you offer in terms of gaining experience before applying for jobs in this industry?
Dan, I wanted to add something real quickly. Watching the evolution of sports management worldwide for the last 25 years, I see the globalization. There's talent born every day around the world. There's a player in India that could be a major league player someday. There's a football player in Africa that can play. It goes on and on. And I always tell an agent, what you have over everybody else is your location and your story. And I just want to keep that in mind as we globalize and look for talent, even in England, just like soccer in America. 2026, it's going to maybe surpass every sport in popularity in America just because soccer is growing like it is around the world. Dan, your comments to that.
Shiv, for me, an agent who's well-versed on the player side in terms of the baseball GM and scouting course, analytics course with Ari, the player development course with Dan Duquette. I think the more versatile you are, the more informed you are, the better agent you are. I mean, I found immediately when I went to the agent side, I knew I was the best evaluator in the group. I knew the rules better than anybody else. I had the contacts that nobody else had. And that versatility got me where I wanted to go quickly. By the way, for everybody, I know we had a bit of a Zoom hit a little bit ago when Phil was on. We're back now. But if you had any instability, that Zoom hit was, it's over, we're good. But Shiv, get better at being you. Get better with more information. All it'll do is help you.
Dan, since we're going to stay on for a few minutes, if Ari's in, and Ari, if you'll unmute your mic, I'd like Ari to come in. He's a colleague of ours. He teaches analytics. And I think it'd be good in all these questions just to sneak Ari in with a comment on analytics and compliments to what's going on. Ari, are you open? Ike, if he's not open. Okay, there you are. I see Ari. Ari, just go ahead. And a lot of students are interested in baseball. Dan's given an overview. We love you. But just talk about analytics and the evolution or revolution in the role of working in baseball.
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. Ari Kaplan here in Chicago. Teach the baseball analytics as well as the data science and analytics across sports, and been involved in the game as my start of it'll be 32nd season. Started in analytics, added in scouting, player development, and now, and then when the Cubs brought in new ownership, had the huge honor of creating and leading their analytics department, and then working with the other instructor mentioned, Dan Duquette. But as Dan Evans had said, it's all a part of understanding players, developing players, and there's so many different uses on the baseball, the game side. It's predicting which players will be most effective for your team, for your stadium, for your lineup, for the defense, since it is a team sport. On the business side, everything from predicting ticket sales to better connecting with your customer back when games are going to be, filling the seats. But yeah, it's all about connecting with the people, the fan side, as well as the sports side. And I can talk for hours, but I'll leave it at that unless you want me to drill down.
No, I just want you to know that there's an opening with the Cubs, by the way.
Yes, today.
Not really. Not really.
Yeah. And
well,
Dan,
promoted. And then
and
I think Underjet is open. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ari, real quickly, your comments about Mike Matheny coming in as a major league manager, unemployed, give the insight to the students. We're always proud of that story, not only because I'm from Kansas City and the most important baseball team in the world, but anyhow, your comments about Mike Matheny when he came into your course.
Sure. So if people hadn't heard, Mike Matheny was player manager of the Cardinals, was very self-reflective, which was a great quality to have. He realized the game had changed a bit, and while a really smart person, the feedback he heard was he wanted to, there were other people that were more understanding of how analytics can help with player performance, and being self-respected. He joined the course at first kind of anonymously, just to get up to speed. Then when it started, we saw we were all friends. He let the world know And he learned and eventually, got the job as the manager of the Royals and surprised me and everyone at SWW by bringing us up in his press conference and, on MLB Network. But the game's changing, and now it's not just the analytic people in the stadium, in the front office, it's managers, coaches, and players.
Yeah.
Trying to understand how can you better yourselves with this,
And sports betting, don't forget, Ari.
which is huge.
Hey, Lynn,
Yeah.
one thing I'd like to say, analytics aren't new to baseball.
Right.
Analytics were used in the 50s by the Yankees, in the 60s by the Dodgers. When I started with the White Sox in 1981, we did analytics more than I'd say 4 or 5 teams do today. We just didn't tell anybody. We kept it quiet. Analytics give you a better opportunity to get it right.
Right.
The only difference is now teams are more forthright about saying they use them, whereas in the past, they concealed their use.
Yeah.
And with technology getting better and better, we're better at using analytics to arrive at decisions.
And I've always claimed to be father of analytics, catching 13 foul balls in 3 summers at the Kansas City A's game based on the foul ball trajectories on the previous inning, who's batting and who's pitching. So I just want to go there on the game of baseball. Let's go 3 more, and then we're going to stay in for those that have follow-up questions. Ari, thank you so much for coming in. Let's go to Stephen with your introduction. We'll go to Robert and Billy, and then we'll kind of not close, but we have a lot of major announcements, SMW with Adam and Dan, because we want to help you understand how you can work in baseball. Let's go to Stephen.
Gentlemen, good evening. My name is Steve. I'm a graduate of the United States Military Academy.
Thank you for serving our country.
Yeah, no problem. After I graduated, I've gotten into aerospace. I'm a space vehicle engineer now. My question is this: what advice would you give to somebody who's looking to get into baseball as a complete career change?
Yeah, but that's a lot of people, Steve. You'd be really surprised. First of all, thank you for serving our country.
Yeah.
But I think you'd be surprised how many people have left the business world or whatever world to join Major League Baseball. My suggestion to you, Steve, if you're going to do that, pick something that you're passionate about. Player development, analytics, minor leagues, scouting, just front office, collective bargaining, doesn't matter, because that will show and your experience level will actually be a plus. You're less of a risk. Plus, with your military background, you're even less of a risk. There's no doubt you can be a team player. What you're bringing to the table is more than the average entry-level candidate. And I think you have to expound upon that, articulate it as best you can.
And Dan, I got to be honest with you, the old days, if you didn't play the game and coach, you really weren't in the game afterwards. I mean, that's the revolution going on. Analytics is part of that. Look at the globalization. I love having people with everyone's background. It's a game of how do we win more games? How do we find the next great talent? Let's go to Billy with, let's go to Robert, excuse me. Robert, come in with your introduction, then Billy, and then I'll hand the microphone over to Adam, and Dan is willing to stay in. Thanks for coming in. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Dr. Lashbrook, this is Robert Score from New York City. Thank you so much for doing this, man. I really love these meetings, and I'm a huge fan of sports management worldwide. I love it so much that I took Dan Evans' class twice. And so if you haven't taken it yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend the GM scouting class. I've dabbled in other classes with Ari and Dan Duquette. I'm just a huge baseball fan and a huge fan of sports management worldwide, as much as Bruce Springsteen. So my question is, and thank you so much for allowing me to see my son tonight. I'm in New York City. Cool. He's in Boston. Yeah. So here's what I'm trying to get to. We've seen a lot of changes in baseball. We all know that, with rules and technology. I'm just wondering, is there more technology on the horizon that maybe the general public isn't aware of yet, that you might have some inside knowledge about Dan? What's going on with that? It seems to be getting more and more technological heavy.
Welcome to the bearded world, by the way, Robert.
Yeah.
You know what? I think there's an amazing amount of technology that's going to be in our midst within the next 6 to 8 months. I've heard some things going on that I'm stunned about, things that are using technology at the next level that could be great for collegiate programs, for organizations, for scouting purposes. I think, Bobby, we are going to see some things that are going to amaze us. I've had a couple of people approach me wanting me to take a look at stuff, and I was frankly stunned. So I think we're going to see some great things. And Ari's a part of the Data Robot Group, which is one of the most innovative groups in the world. So I think it's inevitable that at the end of the tunnel of COVID, we're going to see things that we never imagined.
Good stuff. Dan, I want to take this time. We're going to pass the mic to Adam. I know you offered to stay in. And Dan, I just got to be honest with you. We started 25 years ago with one class, and my beautiful wife, Liz, is a partner in the company, and Alyssa and Ike and Adam and Jeff and Sharice and Dwayne. I just, and John LaForge, we just got a great family. You're part of the family. We got 50 faculty all over the world, and you're dedicated. I just love doing this. I love doing Doc Talk. Dan is one of our largest participants in Doc Talk, and they haven't gone away. So I appreciate your dedication to try to help in any way. I want to remind all the students, if you join a course, we do a lifetime membership worldwide chat on Sundays. We talk about every sport. You pick the topic. We have resume service. We're only interested in you working in sports. Adrenalize today and monetize tomorrow. Let me pass the mic over to Adam. He'll take the rest of the questions and any other questions you have. Thanks for coming in. Don't forget, tomorrow we have our NBA draft. Summer League. It's fun to learn from other sports. It's an exciting time. Adam, good to see you. Go
Well,
Packers.
good to see you, Dr. Lashbrook.
Okay.
Yes, go Packers.
Yeah.
Big trades for the Bucks today. Anyways, thank you all for sticking in. I recognize a lot of the names in the chat tonight. I'm going to call on some of you here shortly, and thank you to Dan for taking this time and also sticking in during this part of it. Just wanted to give a quick summary. There was a lot of questions being asked during the chat about discounts for alumni and things like that. There is definitely an alumni discount. If you've taken any of the courses, you get a $300 discount. If you've taken multiple courses, talk to your academic advisor and you probably could get a $400 discount. We have new executive packages that have come out. I know a good example is Bobby Score, who I hope has stayed on. I'm going to call on him, but we actually send you out a nice globe that features your dedication to the sport of baseball and shows that you've taken multiple courses. We also have a partnership with Concordia University, so that if you are interested in eventually getting a master's or doctorate degree, if you do that through Concordia University of Chicago, you get a discounted rate for a free application for us. And just remember that all the applications that you send in for our particular courses are also free. And I'm so glad that Dan's staying on, because Dan can attest to this, that all of our courses, no matter if it's baseball or football or soccer or hockey, are all taught by professionals at Dan's level. And then from there, we have payment plans. It looks, the majority of courses range between $9.95 and $14.50. They're 8-week online courses. You have Zoom chats, so you're not just watching a video recording of your instructors, you're actually interacting with your instructors on a weekly basis. All those chats are recorded and archived, so if you happen to miss any of them, you are able to go back and listen to what was spoke about. We have payment plans for the courses. We understand with COVID and things like that, people aren't in the same situations as what they used to be in. So if you are struggling a little bit, we're willing to work with you. So let us know. And then also from there, we have the apprenticeship programs for like football and basketball. If you want to work for Net Scouts basketball and you take one of our courses, you can do an apprenticeship program. And also, I just want to let all of you know that may still be in college. There are a lot of universities right now accepting our courses as part of an internship program, which is very huge because right now with COVID, there's many people that can't do an in-person internship. So what we have to offer is called our virtual internship program, where if you take 2 of our courses, and it's approved by your academic advisor, and we've worked with the University of Wisconsin, Penn State, North Carolina, Colorado State, several different colleges that will bypass an actual internship if you take 2 of our courses, and Dr. Lashbrook will oversee that for you. And I want to pass it over to Dan right now, just because I'm so happy that he stayed in. Dan, what I would like you to speak about, and I know like for me, you're one of our most quote unquote hands-on instructors. I want you to talk more about what you do for the students after the course, like when it comes to LinkedIn and putting out job opportunities and things like that, because I don't think that was really spoke about during the chat.
Well, thanks, Adam. Number one, anybody on this call, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do it. I'm Evans Dan on LinkedIn. To answer your question, actually, you follow me on Twitter, Dan Evans 108 on Twitter. Adam, I think when I started doing this, I realized that there was a niche that people were just looking for. Okay. Thanks for the kind words, Anthony. That's very kind of you. But I think we're all looking for guidance. We're all looking for help. I have to be honest with you, my classes do not go 1 hour. Anybody who's taken my class, especially since COVID hit, sometimes we go as many as 3 hours, because I give everybody opportunity to ask questions, to talk, because we're in a very challenging time. And I just allocate as much time as the students need. So I don't watch the clock. If we're done at 8:30, if we're done at 9:30, I really don't care. I want you to get as much as you can out of it. And I just block out my Thursday nights. But Adam, I think the big deal is when Hank Jones, who teaches the course with me and is one of the greatest scouts I've ever worked with, I relied on him so much with the Dodgers. But when we are in the class and after the class, we're there for you. We're there for you all the time. We're there for you in email form. We're there for you on Twitter in a direct message. We're there for LinkedIn, whether it's preparing for an interview, some advice before you speak, whether it's 2 years from now when you're having some funkiness about where you are in your career. Hank and I never let go of the rope. We feel that 8-week commitment you make for us is actually a lifetime commitment. I would say 5 to 10% of my daily emails and my Twitter DMs and my LinkedIn requests are from alumni who are looking for help. And as a result, we're there for you. So you take us for 8 weeks, you're stuck with us forever.
For life.
That's how I look at it.
Including the salespeople. We're probably calling you for life. But I just wanted to spotlight that for everyone that's still involved in the chat, is that what people have to realize when it comes to any of our courses, and Dan, I will email Dan directly about a student that's on the ledge, and Dan will reach out to him himself and explain how this can help their career. And what everyone that's still on this, I want to let you know that, like Dan said, once you take one class with us, you're an alumni for life. You get discounts off conferences when they go back to normal. And you also get further instruction even after the course through your instructors, and they'll keep guiding you even after the 8 weeks, which I don't think there's anything comparable right now in the industry where people can actually do that.
I agree. And you know what, Adam? It's because we give a damn.
True.
You know, it comes from the top. Liz and Lynn care about their people, and their staff reflects it. The staff of Sports Management Worldwide is amazing. Absolutely amazing. That's why I stay on after an hour, simply because you've got a chance to work with some really good people who can help you. And I just find in these trying times, people who give a damn, people who care, those are the people that you need to latch your boat onto, simply because a lot of people aren't real supportive right now. This is the time we need to find people who can help us get better.
Exactly. And I also want to speak in regards to people that have been in the industry and might have been let go due to the situation. And I bring up a guy like Carl Moshe, who was a scout and then took our baseball analytics course with Ari, and then turned around and kind of redefined himself being a scout, and then redefined himself learning analytics, and now has been hired on by the Boston Red Sox. And that just shows to me that no matter what your age in baseball, there's a way to work your way back in or redefine yourself. Could you speak more on that?
Adam, people don't care how old you are. They care if you can
Exactly.
contribute.
And that's what I tell. I talked to a scout that was 5 years removed from the game, and he was looking to get back in, and I pitched on the baseball analytics course because I said age doesn't matter.
Yeah, all they care about is, can you contribute? If you can contribute, there's a silo for you. If you can't, there shouldn't be.
Exactly. Well, let's go down. It looks like we have a few more questions. Dan, if you don't mind taking a few more.
I'm good, Adam.
All right, let's go down to Marcus Peterson. If you want to unmute yourself, go ahead.
Great. Thanks for taking my call or my question. I'm taking the, well, first of all, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I, in mid-career, because of COVID, I've decided to kind of, switch gears. I was in corporate recruiting and looking to get into baseball. I spoke with Adam. He's, told me some great things about the GM course and analytics. So I can't wait to get started next week. But my question is, given that I have so many years, 15 to 20 years on the business side of our corporate America, I want to translate that into the business side of baseball. Do you really feel like with someone with that much experience, they would need to go through the internship route, or do you think that there might be some, entry level to mid level kind of roles that could take my skill set?
Well, I was going to say though, first give your background so Dan understands, because you have a pretty good background.
Yeah. So Dan, I've been in corporate recruiting for 15 or 20 years. So staffing, recruiting, in corporate America. I've had leadership roles in a number of industries, and I called up Adam one day and said, "Hey, I'm interested in this." And I was so excited after talking with him and signed up right away and looking to take my passion. But I really want to take my business acumen and apply it to baseball. But I'm hoping that being able to work in a front office, not necessarily in an internship role, But do you think that might be the only way to go, or do you think that clubs, whether it be at the minor league or major league level, might be interested in some of this talent I've gathered along the way?
Marcus, why limit yourself to 30 teams? Why not look at minor league opportunities, independent league opportunities, perhaps college baseball operations?
Sure.
I think the problem is too many people, when they're pursuing a career, set up obstacles that don't really need to be there.
Okay.
Limiting yourself, Marcus, to just 30 opportunities, I would say that's crazy. Don't limit yourself at all and be very aggressive. I would say have a really strong LinkedIn presence simply because of your career and what you bring to the table. You're not coming with an ordinary resume. Make sure people see that from the moment you start. A contributor like you don't have to limit yourself to one of the 30 teams. There's the central office in New York City. I mean, there's all sorts of places. You know, Kim Eng just came from the Major League Baseball central office. So, you know, there's a pipeline there that David Stearns of the Brewers, another person. So don't limit yourself, Marcus. Don't do it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Danny Martin, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself. Dan.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Gotcha.
Okay. Hi, Dan, and hi, Alex. This is Danny Martin.
It's Adam, but you're fine.
Adam, I'm sorry, Adam. I knew that was gonna happen.
I've spoken to you, Danny. Come on.
I'm sorry, Adam. I knew that was going to happen. And Dan, it's just a question for you. I'm in North Pole, Alaska, and I'm a graduate of the athlete management program, an alumni of it. And I just recently retired from a 46-year career in the newspaper industry. I was a sports writer in last 7 years as a sports editor here at the Fairbanks Daily News Miner in Fairbanks, Alaska. And I'm taking baby steps as an agent advisor in baseball. And one question I have, Dan, is when you're reaching out to teams about, a client, I have one client right now, and, he wants to play an independent ball. Do you reach out to anyone in particular, like the GM, or do you go to the player director of players operation? Do you go to the manager? I mean, what advice would you have for someone who's, just reaching out to different teams about your clients?
Well, Danny, you're in a great environment in Alaska too. You can recruit from the Alaska Collegiate Summer League. You'll have lots of opportunities to advise players out of that. I think the best thing to do is start at the top when it comes to independent baseball, because the general manager has a lot of responsibilities, wears a lot of hats. And the fact that he's a general manager indicates to me that he would probably respond the best. He's going to steer you to somebody or take the call himself, but I think you'll get a direct response, and you'll also be able to recruit your player to the proper people, and that general manager or team president will tell you who that person is.
Do you mind if I interject, Dan, just because I deal with our agent advisors and I don't want them to be confused. So that is for independent baseball, correct?
Right. Absolutely.
Yes. So Oscar and I have represented several minor league players. So when it comes to minor league players in baseball, you wouldn't typically, unless if Oscar said, yes, let's reach out to the GM, typically you would go to director of player. You wouldn't go directly to the GM, correct?
No, not at the major league affiliate level. You would go to the minor league director, or you would go to the assistant general manager.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make that clear so people don't get that confused that are in the agent advisor program. The last thing I want is our agent advisors trying to contact GMs of MLB teams. So awesome.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
All right, let's go to Robert.
Hey Dan, how you doing?
What's up, Robert?
So I just had a question, obviously with Cohen buying the Mets, and his background as a hedge fund manager. I think he's going to take a very business-like approach to running the Mets, which is maybe something that they need. So if you can maybe talk about kind of that end of how that might work for the whole team and trickle down throughout everybody in the system, and kind of the relationship between an owner and a GM, and how they have to really be on the same page or stuff like that, and how, again, that trickles down to everybody in like the analytics department or whatnot. And also, I guess, just as an intro, I'm from Denver, Colorado, and currently a student at Colorado School of Mines studying applied math.
Robert, first of all, good to see you. By the way, Robert's in the Sabre chapter I'm in Denver. Robert, the biggest change, there's a great story in The Athletic today about what the new Mets are going to look like with someone as talented as Sandy Alderson once again at the helm. But here's the biggest change. The previous owners of the Mets, the Wilpons, were cash poor, were pretty cheap, were not keeping up with the times in a lot of different departments. And Jeff Wilpon meddled a lot and got involved a lot, where he made things difficult at times for clubs. Suddenly, the wealthiest owner in baseball is the newest owner in baseball, and he happens to own the New York Mets. So I think as a result, what we will have is a massive transition from a cash infusion standpoint. I think you alluded to it, things in technology, things with analytics, staffing, scouting, some of the ways they did business will no longer be on the cheap. It will now be aggressive. They consider it research and development. And with Sandy Alderson leading, I think it'll be a wonderful transformation for the Mets franchise. I think it's going to make a massive difference in how they're going to do business. And I think subsequently, it's going to be one of the best jobs in the game to run the baseball operations of the New York Mets.
Thank you so much for your question. Right now, I'll get to everyone else with questions. But first, because she is in Italy, and it's getting pretty late there, I'd like to see if Carolina is still in the chat, and go ahead and unmute yourself. And I would like for you to maybe explain kind of a testimonial, your experience with SMWW and the baseball courses. And I am so happy I get to finally see you in person, kind of.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. It was good to meet so many people.
Kind of give your background and how it all started.
Okay. I'm Carolina Maggioli. I'm from Italy, and I've been working with databases all my life, database specialist, data analyst, and I'm innovation manager now for the manufacturing industries. I'm a big baseball fan, although in Italy, in the past, probably baseball had more visibility. I helped the Italian Federation as a scorer, but I really wanted to have a feel of what is the business of baseball in the United States. And it took me years to decide to do it seriously, and I browsed over internet and I found the SMWW school. And finally, last year, I decided to apply for my first course with Dan Evans. I didn't even have the language to take the course. And I'm grateful Adam called me. He was my first contact. And it's good to see you in person.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I want to thank all my mentors, because after that I took the baseball analytic class and I saw Ari,
yeah.
and I saw Dr. Lynn. And last year I also traveled to the winter meeting.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that I did my girlfriends here in Italy, they asked me if I was crazy to do something like that. But I did, and we had a wonderful afternoon in a visit at the Petco Park, and we were able to hang out in the lobby, and it was a very, very good experience. I met Enrico, Ben, many of close friends, because even if we are
Far away.
yeah.
Do you have anything for Dan or Ari? And all I gotta say is this is an example of where this company is worldwide. And
Yeah.
Carolina, I've emailed and talked to her over the phone, so that's why I'm just so happy that I get to see her on a Zoom meeting. And I think she agrees that the courses have been for Dan. If you want to ask Carolina anything, feel free. But it's great to have someone from Italy at this time of day over there involved in this chat.
I like to keep in touch with people, and I want to ask my mentors because they are so patient with me.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Carolina, you deserve patience and you deserve our interaction. You are a terrific person. And I love your shirt, by the way. But I just think
I know you have one the same, and I'm not the only one in this chat. If you scroll the faces, you will find another Baseballians t-shirt.
My buddies at Baseballism are going to be thrilled when they hear all the shirts. I mean, I'm a walking Baseballism advertisement.
I have a question about Kimeng.
Yes.
And another about the situation in the minors. Partially you answered already. And last year, Dan suggested me to contact through the social network Kim because of her personalities and experience. And I felt intimidated, to be honest, because she's also very serious. I've been working in male environment all my life, either in IT or as a data specialist for the sailing competition. And I guess that in the past, like 15, 20 years ago, a woman couldn't smile or be friendly the way she wanted because it was a sign of weakness in a way. Yep. And I don't know if she is so serious because of that or there are other reasons. And
yeah. See, Carolina, I know her too well. She's my friend. So I don't see that serious, I would say, front that sometimes she puts on. But I think, Carolina, honestly, you are right. There was a stigma 30 years ago that a young woman in the game didn't belong. And if she was there, she needed to be quiet. A week into the job, I brought her in the room and I just said, listen, I didn't bring you in to be quiet. I brought you in for your opinion. So from this point forward, if you have something to say, don't leave the room regretting you didn't speak up. Because I think, Carolina, for all young professionals, especially for young women or minority candidates, you need your voice heard. You're never going to be a decision maker unless you give people your viewpoint in a professional manner. But I think it's imperative that the people in the room, the people that you're interacting with, know that you've got an opinion, because that opinion is what gets you heard, and that opinion is what gives you more decision making down the line. Kim's an amazing listener, is great at articulating her thoughts, but I think she is a bit quiet until she needs to talk, and that's usually because, Carolina, she's just a fabulous listener. She never interrupts. She's always listening. And I think for someone like you, it must be an awesome thing to see her at that podium or in that chair yesterday. I know I was in tears a couple times. You know, I've known her since she was 21 years old. Today she turns 52, and I'm just giggling that now she's the general manager of the Marlins.
Looking at the pictures, she looks like the same, but you look way younger in those pictures.
Oh, that's because that was a long time ago, and she's 8 years younger than me.
All right, Carolina, I hate to cut it off, but we still have some more questions. Yeah, we still have some more questions here that I'd like to get to. I would like to go to Sean. He was up next, and I believe Sean took the scouting GM course in 2017. Sean, if you want to unmute yourself and talk about your experience.
Actually, I wasn't able to take the course, unfortunately, due to money issues. That brings up my next question. I mean, obviously, in the COVID world, you know, everybody's struggling with, you know, finances and all that. And, you know, another thing that I took interest in was recruiting at the college level. So I actually went out and I started emailing college recruiting coordinators, asking them for advice and all that as well. And unfortunately, at the major league level, it's so hard to get in contact with, you know, people in the front office and all that. What would be, I mean, obviously, you know, I was always told by one of my professors is be a sponge, you know, make sure that people know who you are. Don't give up. Can you give a little bit more advice as far as, you know, if I wanted to get in contact with like a major league person in the front office, as far as either scouting or player development, or, you know, how can I make myself more known to people out there with, you know, with the way the industry is becoming right now?
And I'm sorry about that, by the way. I mixed you up with someone else, but go ahead, Dan.
Sean, you know, one of the things we talk about a lot in our class is building your brand, building your LinkedIn profile, maybe a blog, maybe a website, a Twitter feed, LinkedIn contributions, maybe a Sabre research panel, maybe the Sabre analytics presentation, trying to find avenues that displays your skill set. Particularly in COVID, it's more important than ever before because you have to really develop a credibility. You know, they don't interact with you. They don't meet you. You're not in front of them. But Sean, nobody's in front of them. Nobody. I mean, they're all working remotely right now. So subsequently, it's more important than ever to create a brand, create pathways, silos. You know, I think they're entry portals where people get to meet you, whether it's working for Perfect Game, whether it's doing a blog, coming up with a website, whatever it is, try to cultivate a feeling of not necessarily authority, but an observer and contributor to the game. That alone will give you a better brand and will give you a better chance. Your LinkedIn profile has to be great and then build off of it.
And if you can, can you talk a little bit about the Sabre panel that you mentioned before?
Yeah, there's a great, Sabre is a group, SABR. You can go to their website, it's sabre.org. Sabre is a worldwide group, baseball professionals, baseball lovers. I'd say 30-40% of it is statistical. The rest is history and the game itself. But there is an annual analytics conference, which this year will be held virtually, where I think the deadline is next Tuesday and Wednesday. You can present something at the conference virtually. If you're a collegiate student, you can participate in a competition that is absolutely amazing. It has led to a lot of jobs where people like me poach people. And I think if I were you, Sean, I would go to the Sabre website or connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can funnel you some of the stuff. The deadline for submission for a proposal to present I think is November 25th. But if anything, just attending the conference virtually will benefit you significantly.
Yes, and also, Sean, I was going to interject. I mean, part of our courses is not only the networking you get with your instructors, but also fronting them on LinkedIn, and I think we've spoke about that. But you know, what you're being taught in our courses help bridge that gap, and also the networking part of it and getting to know Dan and his network also helps you out. So let's go to Jeffrey Lightfoot. Jeffrey,
Can
are
you all
you
hear me?
good?
Can
Yep,
you hear
we
me now?
got you. We got
Okay,
you.
well, thank you, Adam. I already said something earlier about in tandem, and that was about the minority thing. Well, one thing I want to know also is, for you, Adam, is I've tried numerous times through this organization to try to get some kind of assistance or to talk to somebody about getting some kind of financial assistance because I am on disability. And last time I was on here, Dr. Lashbrook, that someone would call me, but it's never called me yet. I just want to know, for someone that has wants to really be a part of this, but has not had the financial access to this right now, is there some way maybe you could give me some kind of lead so I could apply? Because I would love to be a part of the SMWW family.
Yeah, I can take that question. So here's what I tell people in your situation, and everyone has different financial problems, and during COVID, a lot more than normal. What I recommend to people in that situation is there is a lot of organizations in your local community that people don't think of. The Eagles, the Shriners, people like that, where you can go to, I would recommend going to your local city council or local chamber of commerce. Ask them for a list of local charity groups, and a lot of times those are the Eagles or the Shriners, whoever it may be, that have money set aside for people of all ages that they will sponsor an education. And we're more than willing to help out with providing invoices or the description of what you're looking to do. But those type of local charities do set money aside to help further education. So like I said, I would start off at your local chamber of commerce and ask them, I'm looking to expand my education. I'm looking to get into this course. If they would like a description of the course or an invoice of the course or whatever you need to submit, contact us. We'll put that together for you, and then you submit it to them. And there are local charities out there that will help you pay for our courses. So that's what I would recommend. Unfortunately, we used to do financial aid, but back in 2008, when that financial crisis happened, the paperwork that had to go through the government became way too much. We used to make people pay for the courses in full. Now we have payment plans, and that's just the way we had to do it because the paperwork with the government became overwhelming. And I understand why Dr. Lashbrook made that decision, and we came up with the payment plans. So if you're still a little financially hard, I would say go to your local chamber of commerce and see what charities are in your available to help people in your situation, help further their education. If you're veterans, we've also worked with veterans. We can't use the GI Bill, but we work with veterans groups as vocational training, and vocational training will help pay for the courses as well.
All right, thank you.
All right. Let's go down to Mike. Mike, we got you.
Yeah, I got a comment and a question. The comment is, I don't know if the gentleman from Israel is still here who is looking to bring potential college player to the United States, but I would
Oh, that
say
was it's Zach Robb. I don't know if Zach is still on, but if you want to connect with him on LinkedIn, I'm sure you're able to. His last name is spelled R-A-A-B. First name Zach.
He's still there.
And Zach's still in. So Zach, if you want to direct through the chat box, send your information to Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say don't sleep on the small schools that play the SEC and the ACC. They play in front of the same scouts. So don't just try to get to the big schools, get to the small schools as well. The question is about minor leagues. I guess this is just a thought in my own head, but the 4 minor league teams, I was under the impression that the spring training sites would be the pseudo short season leagues with 30 or 40 more players at everybody's spring training site. It wasn't just going to be the 4 minor league affiliates. Is that not the case, that those are going to be the only players in the minor league system? There's not going to be like an extended spring training for the whole season?
Well, they need resources to draw from because of injuries and promotions, Mike. So there will be a collection of players at their Arizona or Florida affiliates, but they won't be playing affiliated games. They will be playing rather casual, almost like instructional league games. And the idea is, you need players to funnel players up. But the problem is they're not going to want a lot of players on site because they have nowhere to play. So as a result, you'll probably see a collection of guys, I would guess between 20 and 30 players max. And I don't think there'll be much more than that.
Mike, do you have anything else to follow up?
No, that's good. That's good. Thank you.
All right, let's go down. Let's go down to Scott, and we're gonna try and wrap up by 5. But if we still have good questions, I know Ryan wants to come in. He is a graduate of the courses, but let's go to Billy really quick.
Hi there. Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask a question. My name is Billy Facto. I'm also a graduate student at Lynn University. I'm in the sports management program, and I'm also on the baseball team. My question is, so I'm applying for data analytics jobs within an organization, but a lot of the requirements to apply stem from the majors either in science, mathematics, technology, and with the sports management major and soon to be masters, how do I get around that? And then another question as well is, if when applying the opportunity doesn't come the first time, what can I do to prepare myself for when the next time comes around to add value instantly to an organization?
Great question. You're in a great program. Ted Curtis is awesome. Just absolutely awesome. I'm actually going to speak at that conference you guys are having in the spring. Billy, I think you can never stop getting better. So if you don't get an opportunity, one of the really good things to do that most people don't like to do because it's uncomfortable is ask, what could I have brought to the table to have been a better candidate? I think that's a really insightful question. You are no longer a candidate. You're there. Most people will be very appreciative of you trying to get better. But what I have found when people ask me that, I know they're trying to improve their skill set. I think languages, classes, coding is always going to be good. I just think hands-on experience and awareness, Billy, is always positive. And I think just continue to reach out. Even though you didn't get the job the first time, make sure that this group recognizes you're still interested in the next opportunity, because Billy, there's always another opportunity with the organization. They're going to have another entry level or internship opening, and keeping yourself in play is, I think, one of the most valuable things somebody can do for their own candidacy.
I was going to interject too, Dan. I mean, did that come up with Alexis Collins? Remember, she started working for like TrackMan, and then she got interviewed by the Red Sox, and I mean, it took several times, but it ended up working out for her.
Well, and also Alexis is one of the most talented people I've ever been around.
Sure.
She's got an amazing future, but what Alexis has is a gift of interpersonal skills, intelligence, and confidence.
Sure.
And that's a rare combination, but in her case, it's extraordinary. And, you know, what I give her credit for is Alexis has an uncanny way of being very genuine and in saying, what can I do to get better? I've had that conversation with Alexis herself. And for me, anyone who comes back and says that, you know, Kim Eng did that literally 4 times that she didn't get the job and asked 4 different team presidents / owners, what could I have done to be a better candidate?
Sure.
Well, she got to the end game, Adam.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go down to the 2 more questions, and then I'm going to bring Ryan on as one more last testimonial, and then we'll wrap things up. So let's go to Scott with your question.
Hey, Dan and Adam.
Hey, how are you doing, Scott?
Good. So, yeah, I'm Scott Hickman. I'm Canadian, but I'm living in Australia right now, going to law school and working with
Hey, thanks for being up this late.
No, it's 11:15 in the morning here on Wednesday. So.
Oh, I got you mixed up.
No, all good. So 2 quick questions, I guess. One is as a Canadian, how do you suggest trying to get into baseball in the States? I know previously I've had some trouble. That's why I came here as sort of a change for a little bit to get some more baseball experience and expand my academic resume. And then the second question quickly would be, just yesterday, Clevenger signed that deal to avoid arbitration. I know, if I remember correctly, you had always spoke about avoiding arbitration at all costs. It's probably the first time that I can remember where someone has announced that they're getting a surgery like TJ and at the same time signing a contract to avoid arbitration, which was a little bit interesting. But how do you think COVID is going to affect, the free agent market this year? And do you think that had any effect as well on Clevenger, or it was just, let's avoid arbitration?
Well, first of all, Scott, I never use the word avoid in arbitration because 95% of the cases don't go to arbitration. You're eligible. It's a threat for both sides. What they did with Clevenger, I know where AJ got that idea. AJ worked for me for a while because I've done that 4 or 5 times where I've taken that chance where the medical professionals feel that it's worth the risk. In Clevenger's case, he was going to be a free agent. So this buys out his arbitration year and also gives them control in 2022. I'm like 80% on that. I think 4 of the 5 worked out. The one that didn't, it just didn't. About 83% of Tommy John surgeries work. In regards to the market, I think the market's going to reflect the economical impact that COVID has had, along with the financial impact that the virus has caused. So I think as a result, teams will be more averse to risk. And as a result, the guy who might have been on the fence in the past, they'll non-tender this year. As a result, the free agent market is going to have more players than ever before because of the influx of additional non-tenders. And I really think, Scott, that this is an example this year of agents having to do a real good job communicating and positioning with their player to understand their market, not overreach, and secure deals with mediocre to below players as early as they can. Because being a free agent in February of 2021 is not going to be a real good situation.
All right, Scott, thank you for your question. Let's go down to Alan, and then I'm going to bring in Ryan, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. So Alan, go ahead and unmute yourself. And Dan, thank you again for staying on.
You're welcome, Adam. No problem. This is good for everybody on the call. Whatever we can do to help them, I'm in.
I agree.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say thank you first off to everyone here. I really appreciate it. I just had a quick little question. I know we kind of touched base on it. I know Dan did. And, I've been working for the past 5-6 years in enterprise software as an M&A specialist, a senior business development analyst. And truth be told, the longer it's gone on, I've just felt like, I'm almost 30 years old. And it's about time I do something that I really have so much passion for, and that would be both soccer and baseball. And I actually took the soccer management and scouting course just about a couple weeks back. Still trying to hammer through it. I had to take an extension for it because of my current work slate. But nonetheless, my question is, do I take the internship route first, or do I dive into something that is very specific to what I've previously done, I guess, with business development in general? I know a lot of people get bogged into sales positions and things like that some people don't seem to like too much. But I feel like it kind of depends on your skill set. And I'm somebody that's just analytical in nature. I'm actually in the Alan Roth chapter for Sabre. It's my first year, but I'm loving it so far. I'm just looking for basically just some guidance, and I've even been thinking about taking the class with Ari as it relates to business analytics, because I do have some programming history because of where I work, but I definitely would have to brush up on SQL and R and things like that. So, just want to hear your thoughts.
Alan, I think it comes down to how much you're willing to risk. An internship with no salary or limited salary versus a full-time position or an entry level job. It just comes down to, I think, the mistake most people make, and I say most with reason. I think most people chase the full-time job and chase the logo instead of chasing the best opportunity to grow and the best mentor. And I say that because I'm a direct result of great mentors. Roland Heeman in the Hall of Fame. Tony La Russa, Hall of Fame. Charlie Lau, best hitting coach ever. Bobby Winkle's arguably the best college coach of all time. Dave Duncan, great pitching coach. Dave Dombrowski, a multiple World Series champion. Those were my bosses. So as a result, and just as an example, I had a chance when the strike hit in 1981, I had a chance to end my internship and jump back into the real world. I was going to clerk at a law firm and get ready for my senior year. But I decided, Alan, not getting paid during the strike, hey, that's fine. If I'm going to get results from my investment. And I think it just comes down to how much risk are you willing to take on? How much comfort do you have economically? I always say, and anyone who is on this call who's taken my class, inevitably, you got to invest in yourself. And if you think that a internship is better than a paid entry-level job, sometimes that's the better move if you can swing it economically, if the mentor is a significantly better mentor. I think you gotta pick your mentors and not worry about the logo and not worry about the payment if your ultimate goal is to be a huge contributor in the workplace. You got to take the best opportunity with the best boss.
And I'll just pitch onto that, Alan, just to let you know. What we find, and Dan probably can attest to this, is people that pair the baseball GM and scouting course with baseball analytics are just more marketable in the industry, and they have more job opportunities, and we have a lot more success stories when people have taken both of those courses and apply for jobs. I mean, Dan, what's your feelings?
Well, Alan, I can tell you, when you're up for a job with a club, I'd say 80% of the time I get a phone call, an email, a LinkedIn, because I know the HR people, I know the decision makers at each one of the clubs. They reach out to me and they say, tell me about Alan. Now, if you've taken my course and Ari's course, I know it. And I will say things like, hey, listen, you know, this male or female has taken 2 of our courses. I feel like I know he or she, and as a result, I would strongly recommend them. That goes a long way, Alan. When you've got a GM, an assistant GM, calling your mentor and saying, hey, what do you think? I'll tell you what, that good word, that recommendation, it goes a long way.
No doubt about it. All right. Well, I wanted to bring in
Thank you.
2 prior students. Thanks, Alan. I wanted to bring in 2 prior students. I'm going to start with Ryan and then go to Bobby's score, and then we're going to wrap things up here. But let's go to Ryan first. Ryan, go ahead with your experience. I know you're an alumni.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Ryan Moretti. I took the sport management GM and scouting course with Dan Evans back in 2017, so quite a few years back, but it was only when I was a sophomore in college. And I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do in baseball at that time, and that kind of really accelerated everything, to what I want to do to what I want to do today. I've interned previously with the Orioles and the Detroit Tigers in player development. I was very fortunate enough to get those opportunities. It was a lot of hard work and dedication and time that was put into that. But I wanted to just share my, kind of my process with you guys, and that it is possible. You just have to be, patient. You have to be a good communicator, a good listener. Everything that Dan said, that's something that I took into account over the last 2.5 to 3 years, and I'm still doing that today. With my position being eliminated at the Tigers, I'm just interning in a volunteer role with the Iona College baseball program to stay up to date, stay relevant around where I live. And my word of advice to everyone is just be patient. Like, it's a difficult time for everybody. Just, keep your head up and keep going, because, there's going to be opportunities when we get through this.
I got one question for you, Ryan. Without our courses, do you think you would have gotten those opportunities?
I think it probably not, just because I really think, like, I remember talking to Dan, and I was shy at the time to talk in the class. and I'll be honest with you, but I really think that, like, that helped me gain more confidence and realize what I needed to do to put myself in a position. These jobs, they're not posted everywhere. You have to reach out, connect to people. You'll get phone calls at random times. You'll get emails at random times. You have to have an interview the next day and prepare with 24-hour notice. So everything I learned from Dan, listening on the phone to what he had said, has really helped me mature and really understand what the industry is about, and not chasing the logo. For me, it's more about how can I provide value to the organization. For me, it's about, I want to start with a rebuild organization, kind of see things through. And it took time to really realize that, but that's just who I am and how I feel like I can be value to an organization.
Well, Ryan, week 1 versus week 8, Ryan was a totally different guy.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that. I think, just talking with people and understanding how the industry works, and still, I mean, we still connect today. I mean, you spoke on a Future Baseball GMs podcast a few weeks ago, so I appreciate you for continuing the guidance as you had previously stated.
And then one last thing, Ryan. I know one thing that we haven't talked about too much during this was the informational interviews you had to do during the course. Did you find those beneficial?
So I'm gonna be honest here. I didn't do as many as I should have, and that's my fault particularly. I realized after I took that class, I did a lot more informational interviews, and that was a lesson I had learned. So I think it's on me that I didn't do more then, but I did a lot more after to get to where I was today.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your input, and then I'm going to wrap it up with Bobby Score. And
Yeah, thank you guys.
yeah, thank you, Ryan. Bobby, if you want to come in, excuse me, Bobby is a graduate of several courses. He also signed up his son, Hank, for some courses. And go ahead, Bobby, with your experience.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Thank you for the opportunity to speak for a moment or two. I wasn't kidding earlier when I said that I loved Dan Evans' class so much that I took it twice. And you know what? I'm thinking about taking it a third time right now, because from this meeting and from the previous meeting, you see the generosity, you see the dedication, you see the talent that is coming out of sports management worldwide to the students. And I could not be prouder of my son, Henry, becoming involved. I didn't push him to do it. I just suggested it to him. And he took the sports agent class.
Yes, he actually comes into my agent advisor chats every Wednesday night.
Yes, he loves it, Adam. He loves it. He's a baseball player. He's a catcher up at UMass Boston. And of course, there's no baseball. So he's really focused on his work at UMass Boston. And he was able to schedule that along with sports management worldwide. And he's thriving because of that. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of me being a part of sports management worldwide. I've been to 2 conferences that coincided with the MLB winter meetings, one in San Diego and one in Washington. And I'm telling everybody on this call, if you can get to an SM worldwide baseball conference, baseball is my thing. I don't do the other sports, it's just baseball. If you can get to those conferences that they put together that coincide with the winter meetings, you'll be amazed. They're just fantastic. You'll learn so much. You hear from insiders along with the sports management worldwide people. It's just tremendous. I'm like the best commercial for sports management worldwide. I can speak about it, endlessly. I did dabble in Ari's class, tremendous. Dan Duquette's class, tremendous. And as I said, Dan Evans' class twice. And you know what? Because of this meeting, I'm serious. I'm thinking about when I was taking those classes, I wasn't at a place in my life where I could use the knowledge immediately.
I know, because you and I talked several times, Bobby.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm probably older than most of the people on this call, and I'm a baseball fanatic. So I enjoy the classes. I enjoy the interaction. But I'm getting closer to where I might actually try to apply some of the knowledge that I learned with sports management and with my own background. Dan Evans and I have talked about this a number of times. And you know what? I might go for that. I might go for that dream now in my later years. I just turned 68 years old.
Hey, Bobby.
2 days ago. So
to me, it sounds like you're my age, which is 44. And like Dan said earlier, it doesn't really matter your age. It really doesn't.
I was so happy. I was so happy to hear you say that, Dan. I found that inspirational, encouraging. And, since we both love Letter to You, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to start working on it. I do have a blog, a baseball blog. I haven't launched it yet. It's called No Breaks Baseball. I haven't launched it yet. Thanks. And that's the way I'm looking at myself now, is no breaks. And I would encourage everybody on this call to try to embrace that kind of thinking and go for it. Baseball is a tremendous sport, and there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of stuff going on. So there's a lot of new places that you might find yourself in. And with the support from sports management worldwide, I have no doubt that if you go for it, you'll get it. And Dan, while I was had a still photo going there for a while, I put this on for you.
Look,
See that?
look what I
So,
got over my shoulder, Bobby.
is that the photo
It's
of
me and
you?
Bruce.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Once this crazy time is over, you and I will be in the pit on the Letter to You tour.
Hey,
Somewhere.
Bobby, don't leave me out of that.
You're in, Adam. You're in.
All
You're
right,
in.
all right.
So somewhere in the world. So if Dan's in Boulder and you're
It's
in
right
Portland,
here.
yeah, I travel the states when Bruce is on the road. So get ready, boys.
All right, sounds good. Hey, Bobby, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you and Hank. Dan, anything to wrap it up?
Yes, a really important point. Kim Eng is the talk of baseball. She's the talk of society. I was kidding her yesterday. She's trending. She said something in her press conference that I think I want to make sure that everybody heard loud and clear. She said something that told a lot about her, but also about who you have to be. And that's, you've got to be relentless, but you've got to be fearless. Rejection is part of the path. I mean, I interviewed for 4 jobs I didn't get. And I'm happy I didn't get 3 of them. But I will tell you that fearlessness is why Kim Eng is the general manager of the Marlins. Relentless is character trait 1A. If you don't bring those 2 traits to the table, you're going to have a really tough time getting that gig that you really want. But if you bring those 2 to conversations, to your resume, to your emails, to your conversations, I think you've got a much better chance of attaining your dream. Without it, you're just another candidate. With it, you're anything but. Last thing I want to hit you with is, remember, if you're an alum, you get 300 off. If you use the hashtag or the code Doc Talk, Doc Talk with Dan, you get $50 off the course. So for me, anybody offers me something that's $50 off, I'm listening. I really appreciate all of you being on this call today. I'm very thankful that you're thinking about joining us. I don't BS. This is a great group. This is a great group. And we have exceptional alumni who we can point to as success stories. There's no BS here. This works. So if you want to be a part of it, we start again next Monday with our class. The other classes are on the website. I'd love to be able to help you. Hank Jones and I have a proven record of being able to help.
And I just wanted to say once again, thank you so much, Dan, for taking your time. I know it's precious time, but all I have to say to everyone that's still in the chat, Dan is one of our most quote unquote hands-on instructors. And like he said earlier, throughout this whole 2-hour doc talk, he sticks with students through and through, shows them the correct way how to get to where they need to be. And believe it or not, there's a lot of questions about online courses and if they really work. Well, you were just on this speaking with not only a former GM in baseball, but overseas baseball. And I'm sorry for the noise in the background. My daughter just got dropped off, so I apologize if you can hear that. But Dan is true to his word, and he sticks with students. One of the things you do in our classes is friend him on LinkedIn. And I couldn't speak more highly of Dan, and it just shows his commitment by sticking around on a doc talk for 2 hours out of his day today. So Dan, thank you so much. If anyone else has any questions, you can get Dan on LinkedIn. he posted it in the chat area. My email address is adam@smww.com. I also posted that and my cell phone in the chat area. And if anyone has anything else, I'll take one or two more questions and then that's it. If you do, go ahead and unmute yourself. If not, let's go all go eat a good dinner.
Hey, Adam, I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is Phil in Milwaukee. I never got to finish Dan's course. I had paid for it previously.
Just email me and I'll just re-enroll you into the start date on Monday if you would like.
Yeah, and I apologize for that, Dan. We were up in Montreal, and I was still working for the State Department. So
It's okay, Phil. No problem.
Okay.
Not a
Thank you
problem.
so much, Dan. All right.
I'll re-enroll you for Monday's start date. Anyone else?
Thank you so much, guys. Great. Thanks, Dan.
This is Marcus. I just had a quick question about, do you think the Arizona Fall League will commence this year, or do you think that's going to be off? Just curious.
No, it won't happen this year because of COVID, but it'll definitely happen again when COVID is no longer an issue.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Dan, once again, thank you so much. You are my favorite instructor. I really appreciate staying on. But like I said, my daughter just got dropped off, so I got to wrap things up. And everyone else, Dan's course starts next week. It's the baseball GM and scouting course. Go to smww.com if you're interested. Applications are for free. If you're alumni, you get a $300 discount. If you've taken multiple courses, I'll actually offer you a $400 discount. So let us know.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Dan. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening, you guys.
Thanks, Dan.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.